You know what we need? We need. I know we have like an intro theme, but we need like a, how Law and Order has dun 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 dun. Whenever I do these intros, we
Yeah.
need something. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Debates Never Die. Thank you. If you are tuning in on YouTube and you get to see our beautiful faces, you're welcome. If you're listening on anything else, you're well. Just thank you. Just thank you for always tuning in. We appreciate the support. I am your host, Malcom. Dude, why does Toby do this every single time? Like he's lighting up to go onto the pitch. You know what players are? I'm your host, Malcom, aka Sheiks. I'm joined by T-Boy, Tobi, LLM, Khanya. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Khanya, let's start with you.
Our TikTok page has a lot of people. When I said that Arsenal are going through, who said, no, we need podcast licenses. We can't have people just doing whatever they want here. And yet, we win 3-0. No amendments. No one went back and said, actually, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. None of that. So I'm actually fucking annoyed. We're up 3-0, and I'm fucking annoyed that Oaks acted like, bro, who else would know? If I watch Arsenal Madrid more than any other team, who else would know? Why did the guy fight me? Why was it crazy that Arsenal would win at the Emirates? Why was it a crazy hot take? What are we doing?
What a crazy introduction.
No. But he's right because like this. These guys are lucky we didn't record after Rice did, but he did because wow, yeah, they would have heard unbearable takes. But no, Kanye's right. He's right. I just saw Lil Latino said introduce podcast licenses there.
Bro, who's that? I have it's fine. It's fine. Not all of us. Are measured with their takes. It's fine. I'm excited about the second leg of the Champions League. And yeah, all around, I'm in good spirits. Toby, how are you, King?
Oh, don't ask me stupid questions. You know I'm not good. You know I'm not good. I had the worst hate watch of my life. My team lost on the weekend. That's not good, man. I need to go sip some bottles or something.
Your team lost on the weekend, and honestly,
What
like
understatement.
it's not even enjoyable anymore. It's kind of just like it's sad, dude. But you know what? Let's not start with United. Let's start higher up in the table, guys. Top 4 race it's heating. Like nothing embodies the weirdness of this season more so than the fact that like we have a very lively top 4 race, and it doesn't really feel like I don't know. Like
teams all kind of suck.
They stink.
And to be issues with all of them.
Let me correct myself before we get into the issues with each of them. Chelsea fans care. I saw this weekend after the Ipswich game. No, Chelsea fans, and I've said this before. This is what I've always appreciated about that fan base, despite the fact that I hate the club. I've always appreciated that, despite being nepo babies, they developed a culture. They actually have like that heritage thing that we always say Arsenal, United, Liverpool have. Chelsea fans have it because when they went 2-0 down, I don't know if you guys saw. Sorry, I'm jumping, but I don't know if you saw those. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the guy's name, but watch on the second goal, there's one guy in the stands. I don't know if it was with his son or what. He wanted to look like wanted to smack, that hand went straight up. Chelsea fans care. They're probably the only fan base that seem to really have a claim to fame when it comes to like caring about top 4 from beginning to the end. Kanya, to your point, it seems like everyone else kind of just arrived at being a top 4 contender. So let's go from 4th down. Newcastle obviously just battered Man United 4-1. Toby, you've always been a bit weird about Eddie Howe as a coach.
Me?
Yeah, have you not?
No, I think that I don't think it was me.
I know Khanya. I know Khanya also said something.
Yes, it was.
No, I'm not.
It was Khanya. It was Khanya.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Yes.
So Khanya. So let me start with you then. Eddie Howe.
Wait, sorry, just to add, he said he'd be fired by this time. By
No, not by this time. Not by this
Sorry,
time. I said by December of this year.
Hold on.
Like
I'm gonna
as
add
in
this-
2025.
No, he said December. He said I
One
tried to add
second.
my own spice. And he remembered.
Yeah. By 2025, that was my prediction.
Sorry,
I tried to lie.
I'm trying to lie.
but he caught me.
Shameless.
I'm just adding this to the D&D Mrs. Eddie Howe fired by December. Okay, I have this list, bro. There's some names that pull up a few times. Okay, so Kanya, now we look at Eddie Howe, Carabao Cup winner. They are poised for a top 4 finish right at this point, 1 point behind Nottingham in third, a point ahead of City in 5th. How did you feel after watching that game? Let's start there. What stood out for you in terms of their performance? Do you think that's Newcastle playing well, or is that Man United doing what Man United tend to do?
I think it's a bit of both. So to clarify why I've been less than super impressed by Eddie Howe before, the second half of the season where, they've been undeniably really good. I've always thought it was kind of one-dimensional. His Bournemouth teams, they got a lot of hype for being super attacking, but they were always ridiculously defensively frail. And I think that's always been a red flag when it comes to teams in the bottom half of the table. You think just defense first. But he made it work for them for quite a while. I'd never even heard of Bournemouth before we got promoted. So, maybe I was being harsh by not, just appreciating that he had made it work his way. The fact that Newcastle refused to sign any truly creative midfielders and instead want just powerhouses, again, led to me thinking, okay, bro, the fact that you don't care to have I don't want to say Madison because Madison hasn't had the best season ever, but someone of that ilk. The fact that he didn't try and evolve the team at all, like a conductor, anything really. It annoyed me. I feel like he used the money Newcastle, again, I'm holding my L. I felt like he used the money that Newcastle had given him less than amazingly. In terms
What?
of
Sven Botman, Harry Barnes, Harvey Barnes?
no. So that's not the issue. I think as much as I like Tonali, I don't think that's who I would have gone for if I was the Newcastle coach. In terms of what happened yesterday, not really much to say. United are bad, bro. I didn't think United were ever going to win that game. I think if Newcastle
At all.
if Newcastle were down to 10 minutes, I think Newcastle was going to win that game. And if not win, at least a draw. Also,
now you're loving things.
At St. James's Park, there's nothing. Bro, I haven't seen United dominate a team in a very long time. I don't know what version of the game would have needed to play out where I'm thinking, Newcastle
Real
United are in
Sociedad?
serious jeopardy. They're 11th in La Liga. What do we... If these are the reference points, then, bro, you guys don't do well at this point. Genuinely, I think we're getting to a point where United are so bad, Amorim's job might need to be called in question.
No.
In all seriousness, I don't think you can have this kind of season and the people upstairs are thinking,
yeah, it is unacceptable.
We might have fucked up here.
Okay, wait, hold on. We're jumping here to United. Let's just stay on Newcastle for a second. Tobi, Isak, you've been a fan for a while. We've also laughed at Joelinton's career development. What is it that, when you look at that game, do you think it was the pace and power that punished you guys, or before I give my views, what do you write it down to?
Physicality. I've always said United lack a foundation of just pure physical players in terms of the midfield. Ugarte, Eriksen, Amas. I mean, Amas, first match that he's ever played in the Premier League, I think, or he's ever started for Man United. He had a decent performance, but I do think overall, the team just lacks physical abilities, man. And that can only take you so far in the Premier League, especially this season, when you're going up against teams like Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, where they have players who can run. Where in United, you're having Eriksen trying to catch up to Tonali. How does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's never going to work. And even the end of that game, I saw Mason Mount came on and he still got outpaced by Tonali in the 90th minute or whatever. And I was just like, this Tonali guy's been playing since the beginning of the match.
Is that when you said he needs to get tested for PEDs?
Yeah, that's when I said he needs to get tested for performance enhancing drugs, because it doesn't make sense. How can you be getting gassed by a player who just came on? Who's been on the field longer than you?
Right.
So that's one aspect of it. And I just think Newcastle are just a better team, bro. Not on paper, but I think when you put them together, the environment. No, don't be stupid, bro. Don't be not stupid. You know what I mean? Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Could we do a player for player comparison and then you tell me?
I think
let's go. No, just quickly. Okay, so obviously it's different formation, so I'll try to do like for like to the best of my ability. So we're gonna start off. Fabian Shaw,
thank you. Don't
or Euro. Who are we taking?
Euro,
Fabian
please.
Shaw. What?
You see, this is the issue we're gonna. Okay, Malcom.
I'm taking Shaw, but only because Euro is new. He's new. He's young. In maybe in a year and a half we'll have a different conversation. But right now I'm taking.
I won't.
I'm taking Shaw. Okay, Burn or Lindelof?
Burn.
Wait. We see you're not doing this team, bro. Don't.
Oh,
do
you
this
mean
team.
full strength? Okay, fair. So
Okay,
wait,
fine. Then Botman versus De Ligt. I'm picking Botman.
Botman versus De Ligt.
Okay.
Okay. Burn versus Martinez.
Martinez,
Martinez.
please.
Martinez.
Although at 5'9" centre back, question marks, but fine, cool.
Okay, Shaw versus Maguire. We'll do same formation, 3-4-3.
Maguire, please.
Sure.
Shaw. Yeah. I'm taking Shaw. Okay,
Please do look next.
Livramento versus Trippier versus Dalot.
Hello, bro. Oh
Toby, dude. We were just talking about Dalot now, bro.
no, I am not taking this. How old is Trippier? Let me go check.
37.
No.
34, 35. He's turning 35. He's turning 35 this year. He's 35.
I am not taking Trippier at the age of 34.
For one season.
Bro, Dalot is bad. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not taking him over. I'm not taking Trippier over Dalot. Sorry. Okay, but you guys won, innit? So
No, you were sure. Livramento versus what? Sure.
Shaw, yeah, Livramento versus Shaw. I'm taking Shaw.
No, versus
Oh,
Dogu.
wow, Shaw can't sprint. That's so crazy. Oh wait, sorry. You want to do? Wait, sorry. This guy wants to do Dogu instead. What are we doing? Are we? What?
Okay, sure.
I'm taking Shaw. Okay, but actually, you know what? Shaw doesn't. He doesn't. He's an optional footballer.
Okay.
So
Sentiments
Dogu.
now.
Dogu.
Dogu, yes.
You're taking Dogu. Livramento, Khanya, Livramento.
Can Livramento even cross?
Yes.
Actually, that's a good point. I like
Can he,
Dogu.
bro?
Can.
I'm taking Dogu. I'm
Yes,
taking
he can.
Dogu.
Oh
I'm
my
taking
goodness,
Dogu.
what are we doing?
No, Livramento's good, but I like Dogu.
Bro, yes.
Wow.
That's a competent footballer. I like
Okay,
Dogu.
let's go.
Okay,
Midfield now.
Okay, dude, we have to even do midfield, bro. Gumares, Tonali, Jarlinson, they're all there, bro. Like, it's not even.
No, wait.
Take Charlton out for
Let's
Bruno
take a
if you want
step
to,
back.
bro. Take Charlton
Okay,
out for
I was gonna put Bruno in the
if you
front
want to.
three because it's a 3-4-3. I was gonna put Bruno.
No.
Actually, no. This is a 3-5-2. What formation
Bro,
are we doing?
Bro, take Bruno out for one of those three. But then when you get to Newcastle's front three, we're not taking any United players.
I'm taking.
Jacob Murphy. Don't piss
Yeah,
me
I was gonna say Murphy.
Please.
Murphy would sit.
For who? Wait, for who?
Bruno or
No. I'm saying put Bruno as a midfielder.
okay.
Who else do United have?
Wait, what do you mean? In the
Oh yeah, then
forwards?
Ahmad Diallo's ahead of Neil Murphy. Diallo is ahead of Neil Murphy. Come on.
I forgot the other existed. That's
Yeah.
Nah,
Diallo.
bro, not
forgot,
putting this
I
Love
forgot.
Island merchant, this Jacob Murphy Love Island merchant.
No.
Okay, fine.
Is it
So-
Jacob? I thought his name was Neil. Why did I think his name was Neil? Yeah, no, Jacob Murphy.
And he's always smiling. Don't let me slap
He's
him.
a very annoying. He looks like an angry bird. He's a very annoying.
Okay, so to confirm, in this United Newcastle combined 11,
3.
you got 3 players.
Oh wait, we forgot Onana versus.
Goalkeeper.
I
I'm
didn't want to
taking
bring up
Onana.
Onana. I didn't want to bring up Onana. He's going through some things clearly.
Yeah, man.
Let's not do that.
So it's Pope. So Toby, your claims of it being on paper, you see it's not true. Like it's not even close at this stage, right? Because at max you have 4 United players. At max, even if we give you Dalot, that's 4.
You can't speak about the physicality elements of all of this and then think that you guys are better than Newcastle on paper. They
No,
are.
you can. I do
On
think
technical
you can
ability,
have that. You can have that.
technically we are, but physically they're a lot better than us, and that shows over the last few games. They beat us back to back now, so it's what else can you do?
To just go back to I guess the conversation the overall
Yeah.
conversation of like the pace and power. I do think it's it goes back to Man United's squad building that makes me really question what it is the directors are doing, because I don't think this is on Amarim. I think this is the team Ineos, as you were thanking after 3 games. I think you have a diminutive side, as you pointed out. Ugarte, competent player. I think he played well actually, but
Can't play
he's
from the back.
very limited and also very small, right? He's just one of those. He's just tenacious, right? And Khanya, that's probably the player I hate the most. If you're like a physical player but you're not physically imposing, move, man. Calvin Bassey, like that type thing. If you try to get into a 50-50, so you then think, okay, we're small, we're going to be quick. But other than Garnacho and like Rashford and Diallo, you don't really have pace. To what Toby was saying, like it was painful seeing Eriksen try and cover ground. So I think they're just conflicting ideologies into what's going into in making this Man United team. In terms of the game at hand with Newcastle, as well as they did to win the game emphatically, it didn't seem to me like a performance indicative of a washing, if that makes sense. Like possession was
Yeah,
pretty
the
much
first half,
even.
yeah.
The first half, Man United had some good half chances. I saw you tweeting after Xerxes and Bruno had the connection. I saw you tweeted. I know you tweeted. What my eyes? Oh, you posted on the group. What did you say? I can't believe what I'm seeing because of 2-1-2s.
Wait, Khanya, why are you laughing? Khanya, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing, Khanya?
You were in disbelief, bro. Yo, you guys have been starved, bro. But look. I do think it's a game that flatters Newcastle.
Hamstring.
What the
How
hell?
can you
dude?
laugh,
Why
bro?
are you laughing at it? Don't
Because
laugh at sex.
anytime United look like they're about to be good, bro,
Something
their wheels
happens.
get cut from them immediately.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
their best player out until May.
Gone.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Nah.
this season's like it's done, bro. Like there's nothing happening for United. But they will win Europa League though, amazingly.
And he just said
But-
nothing. You see, wait. Do you see how he just said? How can you have a sentence saying this season will be nothing? They won't do anything, but they will win Europe. How does that make sense in your own brain?
In the same way that you guys won the FA Cup, and I was happy about it because I knew it would mean you'd keep Ten Hag. You can have two things happen at the same time, like
Okay.
two conflicting realities.
But yeah, no, I think look, there's a that game flattered Newcastle. I don't think United played as badly. They just had really stupid mistakes that were punished. Onana light. What's his name, Toby?
Bayern.
Bayern.
Habibi Onana. That's what I'm gonna call him. It honestly was a situation where you were just punished for being, making very immature mistakes. And
But I
it's the
think
right
that's
of-
because of the pressure that they had put onto our players, bro. Like,
no.
I think that it played a big part in that. And
T-boy?
yeah.
Mate, and put me in goal like in kick a ball. That there was just lack of focus. I don't even know the technique
Bayern,
he used.
yeah.
He's not even trying to are you trying to chip it? Because if you're chipping it, you're not following through. Like what was he doing? It was just literally like I think
it wasn't.
you're in that era, COVID Arsenal era. It's where you guys are. I'm not saying there's light at the end of the much worse because they don't have as good of a squad as we had. But it's that same thing where you watch a game. There was like a 15-minute spot where United were just playing competently. Like things looked good. Your shape was good. The commentators were even complimenting that. And then it's just like one person just loses focus and then everyone is gone. And now people are forgetting how to rotate. Dallow's doing this brain dead stuff where he's, covering for the left center back, but then going there, him and Mazraoui like it's just a mess. And then if you're playing an opposition that does have players that can punish you for that, and that's where the likes of Isak, even though he was a bit more tame this game, Tonali played very fucking well. Bruno Guimaraes played very fucking well. You're going to get punished, right? So that Newcastle, how do you see them faring in this run-in, Khanya? Like, again, they are 1 point behind Nottingham with a game in hand, 1 point ahead of City with a game in hand. I believe they play that game tomorrow. When is that? Tomorrow? Wednesday, right, against Crystal Palace, who are also in good form, who are also gunning for a European spot, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they're 5 points. They're 5 points off of a European spot. So, let's start with Newcastle. There, Khanya. How do you see the season ending for them? Do you think they've done enough to justify being a top 4 team in terms of like what you see, or do you see them falling short and maybe looking at a Europa or a Conference League spot?
I think it's gonna be really difficult for them. I'm sure that there's lots of belief within the team themselves. I'm sure they're thinking, no, like surely there's enough momentum. I think they've won their last 5 in a row, including the Carabao Cup, of course. It's just that the end of the season for me it has a lot of banana skins. They have to go away to Villa Park. They need to play Chelsea. I think they'll beat Chelsea. And they have to come to the Emirates, which for some reason has turned into an actual derby between Arsenal and Newcastle.
I hate that. Yeah, I hate that too. Yeah.
And they also end with a game against David Moyes' Everton. So,
Ooh, scary.
Yeah, but it's at St. James's Park. So you'd like to think on the final day of the season they'd have
they'll
enough
cook
to...
those guys, man.
Beto. Beto, sorry. Beto. I have full faith. So him and Decore. Danger.
You actually rate Beto.
No. It's a thing of the same way Yakubu slept under Moyes. Not to say Yakubu was a bad player, but the same way Moyes got us thinking Yakubu was a periphery top 4 striker. Same thing will happen with Beto. There are just certain players who, given how a manager wants to play, are a fucking problem. And
Probably.
it's Fellaini. Same thing with Fellaini. Exact same
But
thing. with
Fellaini was good technically. That was what I would say.
Fellaini was solid technically, more solid than what Decore and Beto are now. But it's the same principle. Moyes is so fucking good at utilizing the strengths of players when he's playing for lower league teams. And Beto and Decore, anything that's to do with pressing, closing space, long ball, second ball, they are a problem. So that I don't rate him as much. Yes. Exactly. So Khanya, sorry I cut you off. So you were pointing out the run-in looking a bit scary for them. The final day also is at Fulham, and they have the game before that is away. Is at oh no, this is Man City. Sorry, let me just get their last.
The last game is against Everton at St James's Park.
Everton at St James's Park and Arsenal prior to. Yes, sorry, Karen.
Yeah. So I think that Newcastle finish 5th at best.
Okay.
And even then I'm not sure. I think the top 4 ends up being City and Chelsea, unfortunately. Even though it'll actually be more interesting than that, I think that's how it ends up. I don't think that Newcastle have enough to hold on to that spot, unfortunately. There is just something about how boring Chelsea are. That means I think they'll just be able to pick up a bit more points. Whereas I feel like when Newcastle play badly, it's really, really bad. Like Chelsea will just edge over the line.
I think, just to add in there, I think you may be wrong. When I look at Chelsea's running, it is a lot harder. It is a lot harder. Because they go to Everton, they go to Fulham, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, Nottingham Forest. So I don't see where...
Sorry, hold on. Just one more time. You said the games are...
Fulham, Everton.
Fulham away.
Everton. Ooh, Fulham, Everton, Liverpool. Ooh,
Newcastle
United, Nottingham. Okay, Chelsea are done. No way.
I don't see where they are able to pick up more than 6 points there because they will lose to Liverpool.
I really hope you're right.
6 points. Yeah, I hear too. I think they'll get them United and.
Not even United. I don't even think they'll get it.
No, they will beat you.
Wait. I'm talking as a United fan. That game is going to be one of the worst games you watch. I know from the past.
I'm not watching.
It's ending 0-0. That game is ending 0-0 or 1-1. I'm telling you right now. Don't think that anyone's winning that game. We've seen.
Okay,
Sorry.
I was going to say. So Toby, were you saying? Were you bringing up Chelsea to say to refine Kanye's point of Newcastle finishing 5th, or do you think they'll finish higher than 5th?
No, that Newcastle will finish higher than Chelsea. So I probably do think it would look like Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, City.
Wait, Liverpool, Arsenal. You don't think Arsenal can win the? I'm joking. Okay, so Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, City. Okay. Yeah. Kanye, do you agree with that, Topo?
No, but.
No, well, I guess you don't because you said Newcastle 5th.
Yeah.
So
I have my doubts, but I think Toby makes what he's saying makes a lot of sense. I think that City and Chelsea still finish top 4. It's more being pessimistic about how as exciting as it all looks. I feel like we still end up in a situation where they both get top 4, well, top 5.
Chelsea and City are finishing top 4.
Top 5.
Interesting. Okay, so now that we've mentioned Chelsea, City, actually, hold on, who's above? Yeah, so now that we've mentioned City, before we go to Chelsea, because Toby, you touched on good things with their run-in. Man City have Everton next, away, scary. Lunchtime,
scary.
Kick, lunchtime. It's it's scary hours. Villa, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham. So,
wow,
Khanya,
there's no easy games in the Prem, man.
Oh no, things are a bit hectic. When you have things to play for, things are very hectic. Khanya, 5-2 against Palace. We kind of just saw Man City of old to an extent, just in terms of their response, how quickly they responded to very turbulent times. How did you feel watching it? I know we were all. Let me actually start here, right? What's his first name? I don't know his first name. I'm gonna say Mohammed Mamouche. Am I close?
Omar,
what's his first name? Omar. I was close. I mean, come on.
Wait, why Mohammed?
You know why.
I don't
It's a 1 in 10 chance. It's the most common name in the world, right? It's a 1 in you have a 10% chance, and he's from the Middle East, so
Egypt.
Which is actually the Middle East. I found out the last year, part of the Middle East. Shout out to our Arab fans. Anyways, Omar Mamouche, Khanya, we're speaking about how phenomenal we think he's going to be. He was on the score sheet. Let's start with him. Where do you see him fitting into this Man City team holistically? Because I do think he's shown enough, he's been competent enough to say, hey, Pep, if Haaland wasn't around and you were to find someone more serious than Foden to play as the additional superstar, you can build around him. I really do think he's shown me enough to say that. But Haaland is around. So Mamouche is a very versatile striker. He kind of reminds me of Gabby Jesus before the knee. Not as skillful, more fit, more clinical. How do you see him fitting into Man City in the long run after grabbing another goal and a good performance?
I think it suits him to have Haaland there, actually. I think it's a good thing that he plays alongside Haaland. I don't think he wants to be a lone number 9. He's capable of doing it. But I think the fact that he got this move off of a season where he was playing alongside Ekitike probably highlights that he benefits from having somebody, with him. Like, he doesn't want to have to stay central. He likes having the freedom to drift. So I think he's perfectly fine. The move is, I think it's a smash hit. I don't know how.
Do Man City replace De Bruyne, or does he kind of do what Julian Alvarez was doing and fill in as a secondary striker next to Haaland?
Yeah. I think his role is definitely replacing Julian Alvarez. But City do need to replace De Bruyne with somebody. They don't have the same level of creativity without De Bruyne.
So you don't think it is going to be Vert. So you don't think that. So you think he's a squad player? You don't think he's a starter?
No, I think he's a starter. What are you asking me?
How does he start? How does he start if they replace? Well, I'm looking at the squad. This the formation they just played yesterday, a 4-2-3-1. Foden wasn't there. McAtee played, so you can assume Foden's going to go on the right. You have the replacement for De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Haaland coming back. So in that scenario, unless Gundogan is getting dropped, you have Haaland going back up top, De Bruyne's replacement playing at cam. Or do you think now Marmoush would displace Gundogan and Nico Gonzalez, who they just signed for 60 mil, is now null and void? Like, I'm trying to understand your 11.
I don't think Nico Gonzalez is playing or starting for City next season. I don't.
Really?
I don't.
Why would he? Why would he be?
I think that's the exact player Pep ingratiates into his starting 11. Not necessarily because he's a world beater, but because he's a no-name Spaniard who is competent on the ball. That's kind of his MO, right? I mean, not to say Rodri or Busquets were no names, but relative to the squads they were joining, I don't think anyone ever foresaw that, within 6 to 8 months, they would be displacing Yaya Toure and Fernandinho to become the starting, players. Like, I'm just looking at Pep's tendencies. And when he signs a competent Spanish player for large sums of money, what typically follows is a restructuring of your midfield around that guy. Oh, and that, speaking of Spanish players, the reason I'm saying, Marmouche is going to be a bench player is because Rodri will be back in this team. So
yeah, but then what you'll do is you'll play Rodri, Kovacic, and Marmouche in the 10 role, and then Haaland up in front of him. That's how I see.
You see, I see, and I don't even mean this as a slight. If it was FIFA, I would do that too. Like, that makes sense. I don't even mean that to roast you. No, it makes sense. Like, when I say if it's FIFA, even let me just say, tactically that makes sense. But Pep is not doing that. We know Pep Guardiola enough to know he's not going to concede ball playing for goals. He won't. There's no way he has Foden on the right and Marmouche at cam.
No. So what happened? So I'm going back to the Spurs. I'm going back to
Foden benching in this scenario.
Yeah.
Why isn't Foden benching in this scenario?
Because he's
that happening.
Because he's the Stockport Iniesta. And forget Foden, Bernardo Silva's not here. Guys, so Khanya, I go back to you. Bernardo Silva's not here. These are Pep's. These are Pep's.
No, Malcom.
Okay, give me both of you one by one. Let's start with Khanya. You're starting City 11 for next season, right? Say we find.
I can't speak about their back four. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
Go from midfield up.
Who Nico O'Reilly was 3 months ago. He's a 6'2" left back. I don't know what's happening there.
So okay, let's go.
Thing, right?
Forget. Yeah. Let's go midfield up, right? Just to remind you of the players that are missing that do exist, right? Foden, Rodri, Bernardo, and Grealish. Savinho didn't play; he didn't start. Doku is there. Okay, walk me through them in terms of your. Okay, let's go.
Rodri, Kovacic, KDB's replacement, whoever that is.
Right.
That's the midfield three. Um,
Okay.
I think they're going to shoehorn Marmoush at left wing. He's going to drift in. They'll have this random
Yeah.
Nico O'Reilly, who they decided is the truth. And then one of Savinho or Foden starts at right wing.
So
Oh,
Nico Riley,
yeah, go ahead.
Nico O'Reilly is the left back in
Left back.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then you're saying so you're saying Marmoush is guaranteed left wing, and then
I would be
Savinho.
astonished if he did not start for City next season, majority of the games.
Yeah, I
I'm not
agree.
against that. I just don't think it's gonna work to fit in all the players that you've spoken to. That's all I'm saying.
At the end of the day, Pep rotates more than most
Yeah,
coaches,
lots.
right?
That's what I was gonna
I,
say.
I would think in a world where Grealish leaves or whatever is going to happen with Grealish, Bernardo
Oh,
Silva
I forgot about that drunk.
maybe needs some rest. I don't know what's happening
Just
there.
say that drunkard, dude. What the?
The person I'm most concerned for is Doku, honestly.
Doku, yeah.
No,
I'm
feel
not
like he plays
concerned.
a
for
lot.
him.
He
I
plays
just
a lot,
don't think.
plays a lot less than I'd expect him to, given
I
what
agree.
the circumstances have been this season.
Yeah.
Doesn't like you're talking about a player who doesn't seem to fit what Pep wants from his wingers. I think it's him. Whereas I feel like what Marmoush offers is more tangible, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a goal scorer. Like he's capable of winning you games really, really frequently. Whereas how Doku helps you is like he's not creative enough. He's not creative enough. He's not like he's obviously talented, and there's so many other teams he do a lot better at. But with how City play, generally, it's just like that's the guy that really misses out here. I think Marmoush gets enough minutes to justify the fact that he was signed for like 65 M's. And Nico Gonzalez will play when Rodri doesn't play. Um, I think he's a squad player. I think he's another example of the
Yeah,
fact that City have so much money that they can afford to go out in January and spend over 100 million. And then one of those players doesn't need to continue to be part of the first team. He was signed because there was no Rodri replacement. He is a substitute, and that's it.
I hear you, and I'm not necessarily vouching for Nico Gonzalez now being the guy at Man City. I'm just saying I'm looking at Pep's history, right? And I don't see a world where you have KDB's replacement and Marmoush. I don't think that's possible, right? And that's why I posed the question, because even when KDB last got injured, Julian Alvarez became the guy, right? So the general framework of the team stayed the same. Foden and Bernardo would alternate on that right-hand side. That left-hand side, I think at the time, Mahrez was still there, right? So it was Mahrez and then, or Foden, and then Grealish and Bernardo on whichever flank. And Marmoush would operate in Alvarez would operate as that secondary striker. I don't see Pep playing with one less midfielder. That's just not him. I've never seen him do that in his history, in his coaching career. So I hear what you're saying. You're basically speaking to Marmoush being probably the most sure-proof like player that City have, and I agree. You saw me say top five striker in the world.
I think
next
Foden
3 years.
drops out of the first 11 before Marmoush does.
I don't think that there's a world where that ever happens. I don't think Phil Foden will ever not be synonymous with Man City starting. I think
They will shoehorn him into the wings or somewhere, bro.
There's
Onto
no
the
way.
wing.
over the summer, there's going to be a story that drops about something bad that happened. Maybe his mom, the abuse, he suffered with it. And then he's going to go back and train. They're going to post some clips. And he's going to be back next season. And we'll see how he does. But there's no way Man City are just dumping their stocks on that guy. So, again, I agree. I do think he is probably the most superstar-esque player they have, right? X-Factor player they have other than Haaland, now that De Bruyne is gone. Marmoush is world-class, or borderline world-class in my opinion. And it's interesting. So, okay, you guys, so Tobi, you said...
Similar sentiment to Khanya, basically.
Sorry, just to rehash top four. Top four, right?
Oh,
so you're
okay,
saying
okay.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, City. So you both think...
Yeah.
You both
Wait,
think
who
Nottingham...
are you raising? No. I think... No, sorry. I keep saying top five. I think Forest are finishing top four.
No,
I'm talking about top four. So your top four is Liverpool, Arsenal,
Forest.
and then Forest,
City.
City, Newcastle.
No, City,
Okay.
Chelsea on my side, and then Newcastle and City on Toby's side.
Okay. So, just give me your top four again. Liverpool, Arsenal. I just want top four. I just want top four. Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham, and
City.
City. Okay. And Toby, that fourth spot is also no. You think Nottingham's dropping out of the top four for
Yes.
Newcastle and City?
For
Okay,
Newcastle and
okay,
City, yes.
okay. That's fair. I do. I think there is more credence to Toby's. To be very
Definitely.
honest, I think it would be fair to assume that Nottingham are going to. I mean, I think it'd be fair to give them the benefit of the doubt. To Kanye's point, I think Nuno has probably been manager of the season. But I look at their run-in. They have that. They have Brentford. They have Tottenham. Okay, never. So they have they have Brentford, Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea. Final day against Chelsea, we've all spoken about, will be crazy. I think the key games will be away to Palace and West Ham, and I just see them stifling right after that shock defeat to Everton this weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Decore, goodness gracious. Nah, Everton are a problem. But yeah, okay, that's fair. Look,
So wait, just to confirm, no one thinks Villa is making top four.
I looked at their run and it's looking peak for them, bro. And they have to go to the FA. They have the PSG. They have the FA Cup against Crystal Palace. It's looking a bit deep for them. It's looking a bit
Too many
deep
games.
for them.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Plus, they
Well,
face
I haven't-
High
the
stake
team
games.
Manchester United on the final day of the season. Yeah.
Why are you saying my team,
I-
though?
okay, let's
Is that what you guys are?
I haven't given mine. So I'm look, man, I don't know. This is weird. I think Newcastle have enough momentum to get through. So I want to put Newcastle in. I can't see a world where Man City don't. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Like, this game just reminded me that Man City will do exactly what Man City have done, relatively speaking. So it's tough because I've liked Nottingham a lot this season. But yeah, I do agree with Toby. I think the traditional boys will get through, and then from 5 down, right? That's why I was getting so confused, because I wanted to do 5 down after. Wait, that's why you're doing top 5, because it's 5 go to
Yes,
Champions
there's
League.
5 slots.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, I fucking forgot. Why? What changed?
Arsenal won. Imagine everyone was rooting against us. We ensured that our coefficient is the highest, so we received the 5th spot, and then
Oh,
Spain
okay,
will probably get
okay.
the other one.
I'm sure you're wondering why I was being so insane. Okay, I'm with you now. So you're saying that final spot for you goes to Newcastle. Oh yeah, then yeah. Then I think this top 5 is yeah. I agree with you, Khanya. Yeah. So Toby, wait, who was your 5th? You didn't give a 5th. So who was your 5th? You know that hate about Toby. Toby will also not know something, but he'll just be quiet. You also didn't know.
No,
that the
actually,
fifth spot
I
was-
forgot. I actually forgot. I won't lie. I actually completely
You
forgot.
just kept quiet. Made me look like
It's because my team is not there. If my team was there, I would know. But like, my team's not really involved, so I don't really care. So,
So
but
Toby,
anyways,
who's the 5th spot going to for you? So Newcastle, City. So between Nottingham, Chelsea, Villa, Bournemouth.
fudge, I don't even
Bournemouth
know.
is a bit of a
Yeah,
stretch.
probably
So,
Nottingham
let's just
Forest
go.
then. Nottingham Forest then, yeah, because they're
So
running.
Nottingham, Chelsea, Villa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're all in agreement. Wow, I think it's the first time ever. So Chelsea, Villa are the two on the periphery. Who gets that one Europa League spot?
Villa.
Villa.
No, you're forgetting. I said Chelsea were finishing 5th, ahead of
Nottingham.
Newcastle.
Newcastle. Oh, so you think Newcastle? Sorry, listen, this has been disjointed. So you think this has been horrible. So you think Newcastle are the
Oaks
5th spot?
missing out. Yes.
Are the Oaks
No.
mixing out? And Chelsea
Yes,
are the 5th
they're
spot.
in Europe. They're in Europa League. Chelsea get 5th.
That is a bit hectic. I don't know how you could think that. Like, what's the reasoning?
It's honestly just a gut feeling. It's not because of how I've seen them play well or anything like that. It is just a thing where I feel like Newcastle's legs are going to run out. I just don't feel that they're going to do it. I would love them to do it. Ahead
And
of Chelsea.
Chelsea's won't.
No, Chelsea are so toast that I feel like they'll just edge over somehow, like because they're Chelsea. Like I believe in like them as a club will have enough.
Interesting. Yeah, I disagree.
just a
I think
feeling.
Chelsea's finished. I think Chelsea's finished, relatively speaking.
I hope so.
I don't.
I just can't see them continuing to be as bad as they've been recently. I feel like something has to click. again.
I think the reason I don't think that will be the case, right, is because there's, as I've spoken about this all year, there's no cohesion in this Chelsea side, right? Like, and I blame Maresca for how he's handled the Conference League. He's literally said there's Chelsea B and Chelsea A, like we're in grade 6, and Foden, right? because of that disjointed purview. Like I genuinely think, sorry, I'm a bit all over the place. I genuinely think if Chelsea win the Conference League and they were to do a parade, I don't think Palmer goes.
Well, he's
I
playing
think
now, man. He's
I
playing
think a
now.
few of those guys do not go, and that's obviously said in jest. And I say that because I just think the hero board died down a bit, and now during this time of the season when it's time to rely on your teammates, it's looking horrible. It's looking disjointed. It's looking, that the frustration is almost tangible on the pitch when things don't go their way. Shout out to
Yeah,
Sancho for being able to pull something out of nothing. That was a good goal. But like, yeah, I don't know. Look, I think Chelsea get that Europa League spot. Um, how would you think that would be received for Enzo Maresco's side if they were to get that Europa League spot? Before we jump ship to a new topic after this horrible showing, I'm so sorry,
I,
guys.
I think Chelsea are kind of hopeless if they don't make top four. And as much as I want, I think fundamentally that's why I am expecting them to just somehow get it. I think that they are so desperate for this that there is no real way forward if Chelsea are not playing Champions League football next year. In terms of who they can attract, if they're going to try
yeah,
and leverage the very little actual spending money they have left. In my head, I'm
yeah.
just like,
Especially the
dude, these
the
guys have to
spending
get
money
it.
is the
No,
serious part.
they
They need
have
it.
to finish fifth. If they don't, it's just like, dude, you guys spend $1 billion to get Conference League and then Europa League. It's like they have to.
And
Like,
conversely, now if Newcastle, as you've predicted, finish fifth, how does that fare for them and their assets? What do you think then happens to your? Well, Tonali can't go anywhere because he's got his
no,
debts. But
if you keep forgetting, if they finish fifth, they get Champions League.
sixth, sorry,
If they
if
finish
they
sixth,
finish sixth, what happens to them if they miss out on Champions League?
I think then they have one last push, and then we see whether or not Eddie Howe actually keeps his job. But they need Champions League almost as
What?
much.
As
But
in, you
in
think
fact,
he'll walk away or they'll fire him?
I think then this project starts to into some shaky ground where one of Bruno G or
You
Isak
do realize
leaves
he's
the season afterwards.
overachieving with this squad. This, I'm sure. I don't think that this is the idea that they would have had. Okay, the owners are very
Overachieving.
optimistic. I do think that this is pretty good what he's doing right now, though. So for
No,
them to
it's
now,
really really good. But they should be making top five. They should.
I I think anywhere between the top seven is probably what they would have said in the beginning of the season are the targets. For me personally, I think that's probably
Okay,
what they
so
would have set
start of,
out.
start
A
of the
cup
season, I
and
would have
top
said a bit.
seven.
Start of the season, I would have had them ahead of United. I would have had them ahead of Spurs. I would have said
So no, not
behind
Spurs. Top ahead
Aston
of the.
Villa.
Okay,
I
all right.
said Andrew's going to get sacked this season. I don't know about you. That's how I started the season. Just so
And
I had,
you,
I had, I had
it's a
them.
miss, but yes.
They're in 16th.
It's not
The
sacked
He's
fact
still
though.
there. He's still there, but
the,
yes.
the fact that they haven't sacked him says more about Levy than it says about my prediction. But it's fine. My actual point was just that for me they were minimum sixth place, right? Like that's where they need to be. They won a trophy, cool, that's great, but they do actually need to be a Champions League side at some point in time. Again, it doesn't make sense to invest the way they have, to have the players they have, and then they're not expecting to be competing for, for European football. If they're
Yeah,
in short of
European
Aston Villa at
football
this point in
includes
time,
Conference League, Europa League. That's what we're talking about as well. Then I can agree. But if you're saying solely Champions League when you're going up the lights against Chelsea, you can
not
spend a
not solely
billion
not
dollars.
not solely Champions League. So I'm saying this season it's fine, but
Okay,
next
yeah,
year
yeah.
that will be the expectation. Because
Okay.
I don't think they're going to sell Isak now, but if they do
Yeah,
not
if they
make
don't
Champions League
sell him,
football
yeah.
next year,
He's
what
gone.
if Bruno Gio Isak are going?
It's going to be Isak because
Bruno
Bruno
Gio
G's
going,
kissed the
yeah.
badge many times. When he did those 8 celebrations, there's no way he's leaving. I think when he was crying because they won the Carabao. No, I think genuinely speaking, like
There's an
Bruno
attachment.
G, there's an attachment, and I think it's what everyone. And it's look with all due respect to Newcastle fans, that is a fan base that can make you feel loved. So I completely understand, you know, and he's Brazilian, and Brazilians are very passionate people, right? So I think it'll be Isak, and it just hurts. Actually, it's perfect timing. Actually, let me not speak about our club. So that's the top half of the table. let's quickly just touch on the bottom three. Khanya,
Hey,
you
these
brought
guys
this up
suck.
in pre-production. The gap that exists between promoted teams and the Premier League standard. So now we're seeing Burnley who have conceded about 18 goals this season in what 40 something games in League One. They
Championship.
are championship, right? I forget.
Yeah.
They are poised to be promoted. Oh yeah, shout out to Birmingham for winning League One, by the way. What do you think this is? Why do you think this is the case where we're seeing bottom three teams almost exclusively being the ones that the relegation teams being the promoted teams from the year prior? The quality of football, I think we all agree, has gotten better in the championship. So, what is it in your minds that results in this automatic whitewashing? It seems.
I
What
think
would you
it's
write it down to?
I think it's similar to the issue that's causing this situation we have now, where any player after a good season is 100M, which is lazy recruitment. I think the fact that Forest survived when they got promoted speaks to the fact that they were extremely ambitious. I think a lot of these teams are kind of banking on the fact that it is profitable to be a team that comes up, gets Premier League money, and then goes down again. And they're kind of just hoping for the best. Like they
Wow.
aren't actively
No,
trying to
definitely
I
not.
to stay
disagree
up
with
in the
that.
same way.
That's
Right.
there's no.
If you look at the business conducted from the season when Forest first came up versus the business conducted by the teams that were promoted after them, and you look at the squad turnover that Forest had then in comparison to what the rest of these folks did, I think you understand exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying.
And how many
But
points did Forest
I
get deducted? How many points did Forest get deducted?
and it was worth the gamble.
that
What have these
that's
other
like
teams done? What have
that's
these other
it's not.
teams done since they've come up? What has been the most notable moment that you have seen from the promoted teams in the past 2 years? You tell me. Pick one. Anyone. Toby, Sheiks. I'll wait.
It,
Luton. The draw against Liverpool.
You're saying the most notable performance from a promoted
well,
team in the past 2 years. I can't think of anything on the spot, but if
bro,
I sit
honestly,
down, I'll find something. But I just disagree with this notion that expenditure is the reason why. Because we look at Fulham, what was it, 18, 19, when they spent
that
Expenditure.
was
Recruitment
expenditure.
generally. He pointed out Forest, and I said that it was worth it in their specific scenario.
So
But it's about the fact that they aren't making signings. They
so
are no
that's
No, they
that's
don't
diligent
have the
developments.
but
budget.
that's expenditure. So
What do
what
you
are
mean
you saying?
these teams receive so much when they come up. They have enough.
It's okay. Sorry, Malcolm. Go ahead, then I'll come and jump in.
So I'm trying to understand, right? When you're talking about recruitment, are you saying they're not going to Le Havre in France and signing the next Kante? Or are you speaking to?
They're not looking enough. They are not doing anything to actually elevate their teams. That's what I'm saying. They are
Put
coming
your,
up pretty much the teams that came up from the championship, and they aren't making any adaptations.
but I say
They
I
aren't.
disagree.
Just hoping who's to the same level.
I disagree with this to an extent because why would a team like see Leeds and Burnley are top of the championship, right? I think they're tied points right now.
Yeah,
Why would they think someone from the third division or second division in France could come in and
it's gonna.
improve their teams when they've just now gone how many games without conceding a goal? 18 goals conceded in 42 games. That's fucking mad. So why would Burnley say, let me go to the second or third division when I can take these?
I'm not recommending that they get players from the second or third division. I'm saying just in general, make some effort to bolster your squad. They aren't doing that.
But you
Bro,
see, this is what I'm trying. Is this an expenditure issue or a recruitment issue? Because I was answering under expenditure, so I'm speaking to recruitment now. So where do you recruit from? Is the question I'm asking. In this day and age, right? It's how many, and you spoke about this when you spoke about how young players, the popularity they garner, right, after a month of football is different, right? And back in the day, you would say, who is this Maris? Who is this Kante? Now you know. It applies to the pro teams too. Those guys aren't just being gunned for by championship promoted squads. How do you
Yeah,
incentivize those players? It's all going to come back to financial
financial.
means, resources. And I'm just saying, I don't think it's necessarily worth the gamble to. I
It's
hear you.
not.
I think it's a blend, right? There does need to be some bolstering of squads. I haven't looked at the transfer intake of these top three, the newly promoted teams over the past 2 seasons, but I look at Fulham. Fulham is the best example of this. When they signed who was the French that it's not Saar, was it Saar? who is that midfielder they signed that had a great season in France? I think for Lille or Fulham.
Oh, I know. So,
Seri.
the black guy. What's his name? He's short.
Jean-Michel Seri.
Yes, Seri.
Seri, yeah,
Yes,
Seri,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
They signed.
They went down with him though.
Sorry.
That was the first time. That was the first time they came up. Remember
Yes.
They came up and yeah.
And the reason I reference Fulham so many times is because that season I thought they were going to do bits. They moved that transfer window. They went crazy. They signed players that I wanted at Arsenal, and they looked hard.
Parker.
Look, you
Scott
can
Parker
write
tax.
it. You can say Scott Parker tax, but Scott Parker brought them up. Like the thing I'm trying to say is, it's like
And he's
when
bringing
you
up
sign.
Burnley.
And right. Oh, thank you, Toby. Yeah. So like the thing I'm saying, it's like you disgruntle your team, bro. Like it's probably the toughest recruitment you have to do. The two,
It's
in
the
my
toughest,
opinion.
yeah, 100%.
I'd say newly promoted and team on the periphery of winning the league. I think those two teams, the recruitment, the specificity of recruitment you need to elevate your neck to the next level is tough, dude. So like I understand your point, but I just think there's so many more factors. Because think about team cohesion as well as another aspect of this. Khanya, how would you feel if you were the left back for Leeds and now they go sign a left back? How would you feel? How would I feel as your friend? How would Toby feel as your friend? We just went through this season in hell, getting abused every week, and now we're being
No,
replaced
but
by
that's the
something.
nature of the
Don't want to
business,
get
man.
relegated.
Yeah,
I
that
want to
one. I'm
stay
sorry.
in the.
Yeah, you have to
I
stay.
want
You need
And-
a
competition.
chance at playing here, at playing at this level, at getting a chance to move to another team in the Premier League. The idea that these players
Yeah.
know, boy, we're going down again. Southampton haven't looked like they were staying up since match week 5. We've just been waiting for them to go. The type of errors they were making week to week because their coach is super stubborn.
That's another thing
they
I was
almost
going to
wait,
go
like-
into.
Yeah, Toby.
Bro,
Yeah, just
I'm-
after Kanye, you can go.
I
Yeah,
think what we're
I
seeing.
hear what you're saying in terms of. Sorry, Toby. Sorry, I don't want to finish on this.
Yeah.
I hear your point about how difficult it is to properly and meaningfully bolster when you are a team that's just been promoted because you don't have the pick of the top talents, right? Like most players aren't really going to want to move to you. You need to be an ultra convincing coach and team in
Or
general.
based in London.
Exactly. Like you need certain circumstances to make it make sense to these players in the first place. I can't imagine what Luton could have
Yeah.
done, for example. The fact that
Yeah.
they made it, honestly, for them, they were screwed from the very beginning. I didn't know what they could have possibly done. But some of the other teams that are coming up, it's just like, dude, Southampton are not some unknown force, bro. Like they have let themselves down over the past few years. Since they've sacked Hasenhüttl, they've been on a downward slope. In fact, they got promoted and are now hoping. Basically, for
Yeah.
19-year-old Tyler Dibbling to have kept them up. That was the great hope for the season.
Dibs on Dibbling.
Like it, on some level, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't have enough information about the infrastructure at Southampton, but to me, it does feel like they are perfectly content banking the money with promotion and going back up. And remember when Norwich kept yo-yoing like that? I think to me what they are doing feels very similar. Where you're perfectly happy to just bank that money as the owners and leave it at that.
I think that's
put
where
yourself
me
in
and
a
Toby
worse
can
position.
I think that's where me and Toby can disagree with you wholeheartedly. We can be nuanced about perhaps the tactics going into promotion, right? That's tough. I think we all agree. It's a very, in my opinion, if I was a championship coach, before I go to Toby, just don't forget the point you had. I would just promote with my squads, maybe bolster Premiership experience. Get like 2 or 3 or 4 players with Premiership experience.
Yeah.
And for the first season, just try and stick it out. And then in the second season, now we can start to sign.
Similar to Brentford.
And Leicester did the same.
And
I
Leicester.
don't know if critiquing the same thing. I'm critiquing the hierarchy, not the coaches. I think
I'm defending
hierarchy-
both. I'm defending both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm defending both because I'm saying, bro, like, I know what you're saying about players want to stay in the Premier League, mate. I can tell you right now, right, and I'm sure this applies to former athletes, people who love sports. You don't ever think you can't do something until you can't do something. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was, I wish Tabani was there so you could also, I've mentioned it so many times on this podcast. The first time I played Supersport United, I'll never forget in the locker room, bro. It was me, Tabani, a guy named Robbie, and I was saying, nah, gents, we're going to show them. They said, this is our time. boys, this is our time. This is our Coach Carter moment. Oaks were chopping. I'm going to celebrate like this. They gave us 4 of the best, bro. I was 15. I will never forget that game. You know, Arteta talks about like that time at Anfield when he said he didn't know what was going on. He said when Sturridge, yes, it's 5-1, was it? Yeah, same thing. But going into that game, we swore because we beat Chiefs, we beat Pirates, right? Granted, the Chiefs was on penalty. Pirates, I scored the winner, but now we go into Super Sports. Yeah. Not on tape though. No one was recording me. But we go to Super Sport, who at the time were the best academy in SA. They were what Vits were trying to be. Khanya, we swore, bro. You sat each of us down. We would look you in the eye. Our coach made us watch comps, bro. Comp videos. Oh, that's what you need to do. My boy, the first time I ever saw what it meant to drop into a pocket, playing as a CDM. And now I have a striker one side, a cam another side. They pop it in between me. One touch, move, goal. They did that 5 times. Couldn't stop it. So what I'm saying is, when you've created that cohesion as a squad, bro, and you've gone through something about the championship, like you talk about football in its purest form. I truly believe championship football is that, because it's just fan passion, fan love, bro, fan love, like genuinely, right? And now you get to the Prem, you have that game at Wembley. You go back into the locker room. I promise you, every team that's ever been promoted from a Wembley game has huddled and said, "Yo, my brothers." Probably got tattoos. Of that day, because they truly believe this. We are in a goal. This is goal. I'm Santiago Muniz. We are going to go. And then they get into the Prem, and only around maybe Southampton, you're right, game match week 5, but typically only around January is it clear we're going down. And then at that point they turn on each other. But bro, for those first few months, I'm telling you, these guys believe that they can do it. So I hear you, and I understand your frustration.
So the question is, so how do you fix it then?
You have to. There is a level of hope. There's a level of hope, and there's a level of disgruntlement in the teams that is kind of shuffling. The Evertons, the West Hams. You're hoping they can finally take that dip, and you can just capitalize.
I think. Sorry, I need to jump in here. I think what Khanya said makes sense in theory, but in reality, it just doesn't work. It's a pay-to-win league.
Yes.
That's the truth. It is a pay-to-win league. We've seen how it's worked for a lot of the clubs in the Premier League. Manchester City at the moment when they, all the Arab money oil money came in. Nottingham Forest, that probably one of the best examples. They pumped money, Khanya, and it worked, right? It worked, but at what cost? That's the question. They had the points deductions. They how much? I forgot what the point deduction, what the numbers was. I think how much was it?
I'll get that right now.
Well, had all the points deductions and stuff like that. And then you could say, yes, the gamble paid off, but it's not going to pay off for everyone. So, for example, you might see yourself spending maybe, I don't know, how much did they spend? I want to say up to like 100 M's or something. Remember how many players they signed? So you could be in a situation where you go back to the championship now and you have this book of how many players on your wages. How you can run into a serious problem, bro. What's this?
Nottingham was
4 points.
Point deduction.
Yeah, 4 points. It's not that much, I guess, but it depends on the case by case.
No, for a relegation team, 4 points is life or death, bro.
So life or death, but that's my point though. Like, you're saying it was a gamble. I 100% agree, but for some people it might not pay off, and you might see yourself in a worse off position. So that was my first thing, is that when you said what do you think the solution is, if I was a CFO, I would probably do it Malcolm's way. If I was like a sports director, I'd do it Malcolm's way, where I would now be looking to loan youngsters in the Premier League. So, for example, someone like
So what Ipswich did? Ipswich loaned in so they like.
But that was a lot later. That was a lot later in the season. So that's something I'll be looking to do in the beginning. So there's that like Newcastle left back, something, or Miles or something like that. I'd bring in players like him, players that have decent Premier League experience, know what it takes to play in the Premier League, and can show up. So that was my first thing. The second point I wanted to make was, I also do think a lot of the coaches that have come from these championship squads also have a point to prove. So what you'll see is that they won't be looking to set their teams out in a way that will probably see them sitting back, absorbing a lot of the pressure, just defending.
Yeah.
I think they want to also impose their own style of play. So, for example, we can look at Kompany at Burnley. He got relegated and then found himself at Bayern Munich, right? So there's also something that they're playing for.
Why'd you say it like that, bro? Why'd you say it like that, dude?
Wait, what do you mean, bro?
Like you woke up in the chair.
No, bro. No, okay, sorry. Okay, no, so he didn't just wake up. But you know what I meant, though? Like, he didn't turn up. He didn't deserve to be a Bayern Munich coach, if we're to be frankly honest.
Off of
But I
merit,
think
right?
off of merit. But if we see the way that he played at Burnley, maybe they thought, okay, he has a decent style. So we've seen the same thing at Ipswich with, I think, what's his name? McKenna. Plays decent
McKenna.
football. Yeah, he plays decent football. And I think that's what a lot of coaches now from the Championship are wanting to do, even if it means at the own cost of their own team, conceding goals week in, week out. They just become a lot more stubborn. So that's my second point. But I think to
Yeah,
end,
and
I
I
would
agree
probably
with
say
that. I agree with that.
it's a pay to win league. I think depending on how much money I'd have and how much I'm willing to accept, I'd probably have to go the Khanya route and just splash cash, because it's
Something, bro.
sad. It's an issue which I think the whole Premier League needs to look at. Like it's not sustainable. That's one thing I will say.
Look, I get what you're saying. It's a pay to win league, and I'll the only pushback I'll give is it is entirely dependent. The strategy you have when you get promoted, I think, is entirely dependent on the product, the team ethos you have, right? So Leicester, for example, when they came up, I think not splurging excessively was a
But they
wise
still
thing
had
to
the
do,
likes of
right?
Jamie Vardy, etc. No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think it depends on how you've kind of built your team. If you're a team that's filled with a lot of foreign players, for example, you might want to sign more foreign players because you're not going to disgruntle the core of your team by adding. You know what I mean? Like I think if you are a British squad. Luton had, yeah, I think Luton were quite British, or the likes of who's
Yeah, I
this
know
now?
what you mean. When you have to walk
Ipswich,
through someone's house to
right?
get into the stadium, that'd be
Yeah. Maybe it's not the wisest to then bring in someone from the south of France or someone from Spain into your setup because their passion is going to be what takes you further. I think the other
yeah.
aspect of things why I say it's not a pay to win league is because you touched on it. I think managers letting their ego get the best of them hinders their ability to stay in this league. I think what David Moyes has shown me in his return to Everton that I appreciate so much, pick and choose your battles. Everton are competent enough, in my opinion, to play sustainable football. Maybe not sustained football, but sustainable football in the sense that like the football you're not inept. You're able to assert yourself in a football game and you're able to sustain a standard or a level. I think Everton can do that, but Moyes will sit back. But Moyes will get the ball route one to Decore, route one to Beto, route one to whether it's Harrison on that overlap or whoever. And I think you have to be more pragmatic than theoretical if you are a coach coming up from the championship. Because you may
Yeah.
theoretically speaking, X's and O's be able to chop with Arteta and Pep or whoever. You do not have the resources. You simply
The
do not. Do not. So if
minerals.
you do not have a scarce mind mentality to an extent, you're going to go back down. You are going
Yeah.
to lose. And Burnley with company is the best example of who did you think you were? With that squad, thinking you could play that beautiful football you played in the championship. It's not going to work.
But
Not
that's what
necessarily.
people love, and that's what people loved about the Premier League. Think about back to Luton. Remember they're saying, "Oh, Luton, the football they play, amazing, amazing." Burnley, they don't want to take anything. They just want to play football. They just want to play. That's what people want, bro. That's what the fans want. So I think that's probably why these clubs do it.
I mean, a year later, they have a coach who's doing almost the opposite, and the emphasis is almost entirely on defense, right?
Wait,
Like
who's
this
this?
idea that
Right.
they are so Burnley.
Scotty.
Oh,
Like
Burnley.
right now, they have the
They
best
don't
defensive
concede
record
that
in the
much,
league.
yeah.
Yeah, they've switched it up, and I think that they probably have a better chance of surviving the Premier League next year
They're not
than they
surviving.
did under company. They have a better
Yeah.
chance than they did, and
I agree,
we'll have to
yeah.
wait and see. We have to wait and see how it unfolds. But my point is, it needs to be like as you're saying now, Sheiks, there needs to be a level of pragmatism that exists. Like what's
Yes.
been happening in the past 2 seasons, it's kind of stupid to put it plainly. Like it like I said, I really do believe to some extent a lot of these owners are looking at this and saying it serves us financially.
Nah, bro,
to do it
stop.
like this.
This dude, you're
Wait,
trying to
you know-
land this
wait,
point, bro.
wait, Khanya,
No,
Khanya.
no, I'm
You
so
know,
sorry.
wait. Sorry, wait. I don't want to touch on it too much, but you know it makes them. It's financially worse. It's financially worse.
It's
off.
worse to go
It's-
up
yes,
and down.
to
Yeah.
up and down because you're having to restructure the whole club up and down so many times. You
Yep.
have to change wage structures. You have to
buy players out of contracts.
players, yes,
You have-
bro.
There's so many things that go into it, bro. Revenue streams. You've now also sorry before you speak, Kanya, we'll let you defend yourself. But like we've now also like you've spent this new money that's come in, so you have you've incurred new debts. What happens to that debt when you go down?
He's gonna say parachute payments.
That, and that's my point before, was that these teams aren't spending as much. That we know of. We don't know what's changing in the actual facilities.
That's the point I'm making. Like we don't know. We don't know.
I'll leave that part. But
Yeah.
I will wait for the Athletic to do a piece, and I'll send it to you guys later.
Fair, because we could also be wrong. But I was also going to say another thing that you may not see is there could be clauses in contracts with players. If we get promoted, 25% increase to your salary, right? You know, and now if it's a thing of they're keeping salaries the same and they're not spending, okay, then it's NBA tanking.
I think most salaries do go up at that point in time, but I don't know, bro. Like I genuinely am at a loss to make sense of this in any other way other than either owners being reluctant to actually commit to this in the way that I think that they need to, or like I just struggle to make sense of it. Like that everyone's fine with coaches doing what company did, or trying things like what Nathan Jones did. Like I understand the idea is that you need to play pragmatic football, but the product as a whole is hurt if we don't even have a relegation battle to speak about. I was talking about the entire league being on the beach. A large part of that is it doesn't really matter what happens for the bottom three. All of their games are kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
That's
and you know, that's a good point. That's a great point.
Used to these players who've come up, I do not care about who is in these teams. There are maybe 5 players in total between these 3 relegated teams who are of any note at this point in time. And one of them is Jamie Vardy, who's won a Premier League title. And I think that is a really, really big problem. What we attribute it to, I don't know right now, but it's something that really does need to be looked at, as Toby said. I'm going to blame anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm speaking my ass, but I'm looking for something to say, bro. It can't be that this is happening and there's no one that is almost directly sabotaging them. Because to me, this doesn't make sense. Where is Sam Allardyce? Sam Allardyce would have kept one of these teams up. We have to find something else. It can't be that these guys are all trying the same thing. Only Ipswich, in my eyes, have truly represented themselves this season.
Yeah,
and this was like them big time, right? It was after McKenna turned down Chelsea. Like this was the big shot at we're back for the very first time in a very long time, and they gave it their all. But the other teams, I don't know, man. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated at what this Premier League season.
You do raise a good point at where Sam Allardyce, Sean Dyche, and the guys were. They could have maybe made a difference. It's surprising that they didn't get any of them. But yeah,
Dyche was at Everton, so I hear that, but I'm not happy with what I've seen. Leicester going for
they tried
to lead up a relegation charge. Why? He'd never done that. Change it up. You have to respect the league you're in. You have to play. I don't know, bro.
I think the likes of Sam Allardyce and them are a bit geriatric. Like they're not
necessarily them specifically, but you get my point. Look elsewhere.
Yeah,
United's assistant coach. That's where you went.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's easy.
Difficult.
I think it's easy. It's easy to criticize in post, bro, because there have been instances of, and it's not just United's assistant coach. It's a coach who coached in the Champions League, beat Arsenal. I mean, the Europa League, beat Arsenal. He is a coach.
Though. Yes,
but what are those levels?
Bad, but I'm saying suitability, bro. Suitability for the level of team you're managing.
But that's what I'm saying. It's easy. It's always easy to criticize these left field decisions when they fall out. But if they work out, it's now, Leicester was so brilliant to see a manager like Van Nistelrooy on the market and to pick up on him. I get what you're saying, because goes back to your point of pragmatism being should be the thing that you lean on in these types of situations. I hear that, but I just think that being pragmatic doesn't necessarily mean you have to lose your identity holistically. I don't think it now means you have to revert. Like the reason why the Sam Allardyce cheat code doesn't work with every team is because Sam Allardyce needs certain teams with a certain genetic coding to really assert himself. Right? It's why like David Moyes doesn't necessarily cook at every team he goes to, right? Or every version of West Ham wasn't good. It's because he needs the physical striker. He needs an
He's gonna
imposing
say Conference League
home
win.
stadium.
Look, okay. First of all, don't do that. I was gonna say, I think they are like your point about managers still needing certain kinds of squad makeups. 110% agree. I just think that there are certain coaches that you need in certain kinds of environments, and I
Yeah.
think to get a coach like Marco Silva is rare. To have a coach like Iraola at Bournemouth is rare. And I feel like these teams are all almost trying to replicate the same kind of same kind of formula, but they're not doing it in exactly the same way. Like they're not looking for coaches who are established at lower level teams first. Their company came from Anderlecht, a team that dominates the Belgian league, and then of course he was able to do it in championship. But then he didn't have a plan B. I feel like they're not even scouting for that level. So that's why I point out the Van Nistelrooy thing, where I get what you're saying about, it could have been a really astute appointment, but he never managed in those circumstances. He had managed one job as the first team coach, and I think that's my issue.
And he won a
That
trophy.
you're not even trying. Yes, I like Van Nistelrooy as a coach. I hope he does well, but my point is just I feel like they're not picking the guys who are even like who have grinded their teeth at any point in time as these kinds of coaches.
I don't want to
They're
get
getting
too into
guys
it, but
out
Fabian
of the
Hertzler can
environment.
kind of just. Fabian Hertzler is a good example of why sometimes it can work out, bro. He came from St. Pauli. He wasn't doing
But
that well. I sorry, he was doing well, but I mean, St. Pauli as a team, they're not the biggest team in Germany, but he's come to Brighton. He's
Right.
made a decent. Sorry?
yeah, but Brighton are a
Right.
Premier
Yeah,
League
I agree.
established.
Yeah,
Brighton are a Premier League established side with tons of players. It's not the same. Like
yeah, but
the job at Brighton is not the same as the job at Southampton. It's not the same as the job at Ipswich. It's not the same as the job at Leicester.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's just too nuanced of a conversation to kind of assert like a blanket statement, because I can also then point to you to every single time these clubs have gone to the more old guard English coaches and still gotten relegated, right? And there've been more times of that than there have been of coaches of teams going to B-rate modernized coaching and get relegated. Like I don't think it's a
That Sheffield
generalized.
United guy, I forgot his name. That
I'm
old
I,
white guy. I forgot
I'm
his
not
name.
saying stay English. I made the example of Iraola specifically. Find the guys in the other leagues then who are
But
making it work.
that's what they're trying to do with the likes of Van Nistelrooy. That's what they're
Too
trying to do.
high.
But
Too
then why
high.
wasn't Iraola? Why wasn't Iraola? Like that's the issue I'm having, because there is literally no. I'm not saying Iraola and Van Nistelrooy are the same level of coach. What I'm saying is, in terms of the profile of them, in terms of like, I'm the board of this club about to be relegated or this club in relegation trouble. Van Nistelrooy's profile, Iraola's profile is it's the same. It's the same when you're looking at a pointing, and it's luck. Like to an extent, it's luck. It really is luck. It's about how you made a good point about the team you inherit. That's a big factor, right? And I also spoke about suitability. I think the mind state of the players you have, and this is going back to the issue about recruiting excessively, because if you recruit and you're in a relegation battle, they're eating next year. They know they're going to be able to go to back home in France or back home in Germany. English players say, hey, my last name is Ward. There's no Ward in Syria. There's no Ward in. No, this is me. So they're going to fight. So, like, it's just that's why I don't like the generalizing on this topic of relegation, because there's so many factors that go in. I do think you make good points about lazy appointments. You make good points about, like, lack of. I think that's where we all agree. Pragmatism is key when it comes to keep staying up. You need to prioritize that to an extent, but I think we just disagree. And I think the fact that we disagree on the details of the finer details speaks to how hard of a job it is, right? From top down, right? Hierarchy to coaching, recruitment to
Yeah,
actual squad. Who do
recruitment.
you utilize? It's tough, dude. And like, but at the end of the day, goodbye to these three teams. We'll see. We'll see next year if Leeds, Burnley, and whoever ends up being the third team
I'm
can do something.
I'm telling you right
yeah,
now, those three teams that are coming up are going back down, bro. I'm telling you.
I think Wolves will. I think Wolves
Huh?
time's up.
That's
I think Wolves
but
time's
that's
up.
though they have too much cash to do that. As in not too much cash, but their recruitment they'll find some Portuguese guys or something, bro. There's
I feel like
oaks
those
that
taps
are
have
out
run
there.
dry. I feel like those taps have run dry. I don't know.
That's what I was about to say. I think we're in a different period where like even if they do go the Portuguese route, they're not that team anymore. And I think that's why they cooked so hard because there was that common identity within the squad. Now you look at these guys. I'm seeing like one Brazilian here, one Afro Latino here, a guy that looks African that isn't African. I'm seeing the most fraudulent goalkeeper, one of the most fraudulent goalkeepers ever, like Jose Sa. I don't know. I like Eight Nori. I think he's a phenomenal left wing
That's
back, left
Kanye's
back, free
guy.
roam type guy. He's
That guy
phenomenal.
cannot
But I don't
defend.
think I at all. But I think you now lose, Cunha, and that's your star guy. And I'm not sure the rest of them. Dude, there's that one guy. What's his name? The striker. Though I think he scored this weekend. The white guy.
John Lawson.
But
Yes.
he's decent.
I don't know
He's
if
had a season though.
he's had a good
he's
season,
decent.
but but the point I was making is you lose Cunha. Can he take over and keep you up? I don't know. I think
They'll replace Cunha with a guy though.
which guy? Which guy is going to bag for you the way Cunha is bagging
they'll
for you?
find
that is for
someone.
the Wolves hierarchy to figure out. But they're getting at least 60 M's.
But see, this is what I'm
It's not gonna
saying.
be- None of
In
the
the pa-
easy.
in the
but-
past, and the reason
They'll buy El
I pick
Kounoussi.
Wolves is because of the lack of cohesive identity in who they replace him with. In the past, if they lost someone, you knew that someone from Portugal was coming in. And then that player coming in for Portugal, whether it was, who's that guy we wanted a while back? Guedes, right? Who went to, I think went Valencia, right? Like,
He's actually at Wolves right now.
oh, he came back. Right, now there isn't that. So when you lose your star players, you now rest on the squad itself to carry through. And I think someone like West Ham, who have also been weird this season, I don't have the same worry because they still they need replacing of profiles. I think Thomas Soychek, thank you for your service. I think it's time to wrap it up there. Like that's a good player, but I think it's time for him to move on. Mikel Antonio, I think, will stick around indefinitely because he is the fabric of the club, right? But then you have your Jared Bowen, you have Mohamed Kudus, who I think is still phenomenal. So West Ham have pieces, right, and a core to kind of build upon. Whereas I don't look at that way for Wolves. So I think, Toby, I think two will stay up. I think one will go down. I think Wolves I think their time is up, man. I early predictions for me. I don't see them being able to, but I could be wrong. Gentlemen, we did have other topics, but we've been going for an hour 15. So let's close. Any closing sentiments that you guys want to give?
Toby?
What can I say, man? All I'm saying is against Leon, I expect a W, and at least we're gonna win a trophy this season, unlike some other teams. Your teams, more specifically.
Khanya?
I want to say a big thanks to Declan Rice for ending the free kick hoodoo. It had been a long 4 years since I'd last seen someone score a free kick for my club. So two in one game. I'm very
You're
very
fed
grateful
for 8 years now.
for what you've done. Don't do that.
You're fed for 8 years.
And
Sorry.
I am very excited for this game at the Bernabeu. I expect Arsenal to represent themselves well. And yeah, looking forward to the semi-final, man. Looking forward to the semi-final.
Basmati rice. Listen, the high you gave me, bro. I wanted probably for the first time in my life, I missed high school. I missed elementary school. To all of the Gunner fans that pulled up on Monday. Oh no, it would have been Thursday morning, Wednesday. It was a Tuesday game, eh? Tuesday night. Yeah.
Which one?
That pulled up to school on Wednesday morning. Oh my god, I would want to feel that, bro. So listen, whatever happens, happens. That's how I feel. I do think, Khanya, that my brain, my logic is telling me we're going to have a positive showing. One thing Arteta has given me is a confidence he's given me is to never question our defensive stability. Right, that has been coached in us from day one. However,
The Juju.
Bernabeu Juju. Hey, dude, these niggas. I was saying in pre-production, they're telling fans to just come to the stadium, man, to just be around. I'm seeing. You saw the interview when they said to Ancelotti, "You've been known to have comebacks," and he did
The eye, bro.
Listen. And then that 2 guys died. No, listen. 2 guys have died, bro. An academy player died, and a coach died. No, listen.
You're laughing at the wrong time
bro.
in the sentence.
I'm sorry because they said they've started the sacrifices, and then they put the Africa Magic music in the background. This isn't, look, I'm not RIP to them, RIP, but look, I'm just saying.
This is a terrible look.
I'm just saying,
Terrible.
guys, I am so scared. I've never been this scared because
Never be scared.
it's inexplicable. And you know what? Forget everything else. You know what's the most scary thing? Rendai's been quiet. He hasn't posted one picture of Vinny saying, "Come on, we can do it." He's just been quiet. So for me, my logic, my brain, my common sense is telling me if we go there and we field a midfield of Jorginho, Partey, Rice with whoever in front of them, there is no way, logically speaking, with Saliba, Timber, Lewis Skelly, or I'd actually maybe consider going with someone else on the left, maybe a Calafiore if he is available. Kivio, there's no way we leave there with, if we do concede, it's 1, and then we'll score a corner, something like that. However, the facts, guys, the situation right now is bro. But with that being said,
You're more nervous now than you were last week when you.
because I had no hope.
I
had no hope. What I predicted, I thought we were going to lose that game in the most painful way or equalize, some Madrid magic. It didn't happen. This week, bro, Mbappe got a red card. He got 1 game suspension. There are things happening. He stood on Oaks. He stomped a guy, and they gave him a red card, and his suspension got reduced to 1 game. Madrid have channeled a different energy right now, and I'm terrified. But all I'll say is, regardless of what happens, my chest will be that moment, and this is maybe the most Arsenal thing you'll ever hear me say. Tobi, get ready to scowl. That second free kick, the world stopped. I need you guys to understand. When lost, can we just maybe Ronaldo's bicycle kick against Juve or Messi's free kick against Liverpool? When the world stopped.
Corner taken quickly.
What are you talking about? Set pieces.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about when
Mbappe,
when you just
World Cup.
The world didn't stop
Oh,
for a specific moment. Guys.
I was next to
guys.
you when we showed Mbappe's volley.
And shot. No, my heart dropped.
You went right. You went
I couldn't
right.
believe my eyes. But what I'm saying is this. Hear me out. The goal isn't why the world stopped. The world stopped because France came back from 2-0 down. If Mbappe scores that goal, yes, it's daps, but it's not like what. It's because everyone had said Messi had won. Right? So it is the context of the situation. I'm just Rice could have scored that goal to make it 5-0. Right? It's still the fans. It's the fact that he scored a free kick now, and the fans said, "Not again, surely." You heard the commentators. No way. Oaks, the world stop. Like it's. And what I'm saying is, those are the moments. This loser football mentality. Those are the moments that make a football club. I'm so sorry. Those Rashford in Paris, when they zoomed into Neymar's face, Tobi, what did you do? When Neymar sat up and said, or even, and when to this day, I see you play indoor. You take free kicks like Rashford because of that goal against Chelsea. Because it's those moments, Oaks. So look, if we die, we die. It's beyond us. It's magic. If we win, hallelujah. I know Declan Rice gave me my moment. That's really all I'm focusing on. And until the 90th minute whistle at the Bernabeu, I will not comment on anything further. I don't know who's winning. I don't care. Thank you, Declan Rice, for giving me a reason to stand up in my late 20s. You know my love for this club. Oaks, my love for this club. This is the most successful Arsenal have been since we were fucking kids. But it hasn't hit the same. It hasn't hit the same.
Sorry, yeah.
Why? league success. Why? Because I'm an older man now. These are my peers. I can't make an icon of a guy or like glorify a guy who's actually my age. That's my own pride. Right? The Henrys, the Rooneys, they're gone. They're gone. Rice made me forget. I didn't care who it was. I felt like a child again. I felt like a kid again. So that's all I'm saying. Thank you, Declan. Who wins?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
a yo.
Okay, state of it. That
That's a
soliloquy
long lost
has
thought, man.
knocked a lot out of
Bro.
me.
Wow.
Dude, this has been one of the strangest episodes of Debates Never Die that we've ever recorded. To our listeners, if you have made it this far,
Thank you so
please
much.
leave a comment. Leave a comment below. Like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff.
Thank you, Declan.
Yeah. Wow. I'm. I'm.
You can take the
I'm
outro.
blown
You can take the
away.
outro. You can take the outro. Wait, hold on. Why are you blown away, guys?
Stop. I don't want to hear from you. I do still expect Arsenal. I do expect Arsenal to go through. Sheiks, I'd like to point something out to you. For all your fears, you have never in your life seen Madrid score a goal against Arsenal. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Debates Never Die. We're out.
You see.